It's time for Dads Making a Difference, powered by First Things First. This transformative show will help you learn how to handle the stress of fatherhood, how to better relate to your child, navigate the child support system, and all things that come with being a dad. With your hosts, Reggie Madison and James Frankie Woods.
There's nothing like being on a path that really is leading you nowhere. Seeing it, picturing it, going that direction, going that script, and then changing. And that gives you an appreciation for where you are now. Our guest today was living out a script that would have led him to becoming a statistic, but that's not where his story ends. He's now a family man, a man of God. He's leading, he's mentoring, he's teaching, and he's helping other young men change their trajectories. We welcome Deonte Grimes to the show today. Welcome, my friend.
Yes,
welcome.
sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
One thing I'm going to tell you before we get started, man, he know how to be a GO. You hear me? Boy, he know how to introduce you, man. I'm telling you.
Thank y'all for having me, man.
Oh, you welcome,
Really
man.
appreciate it.
Oh, tell us a little about you. Just, who you are, what you do, your family makeup, that kind of thing.
All right. Well, we want to start from the beginning.
We're going to give them a quick snapshot of
Quick snapshot. 4 kids, wife, been married 15 years. Well, it'll be 15 years this year. Oldest sons, they 21 and 19. They were my stepkids until they became my kids. So they gave me a different appreciation of my relationship with God, knowing that I'm adopted into his family. And so we have two more kids, 12 and 6, so 3 boys and a girl. Life is good. God got us in a position to be able to live the life that we want as we continue to help people.
Yeah.
And I think that's, that has freed me up mentally. As a man, we always want to hustle. And God like, no, I need that energy in your family. You know what I mean? And that energy, me putting that energy in my family, I can see where my kids are elevated, my wife is elevated. This is kind of where we are right now.
Man, I love that.
Good stuff. Man.
So I have a question I've just started to ask every guy that comes on about your own daddy story from your dad. Like, was he present? What was that experience like when we mentioned your daddy story?
Man. So my daddy's story is kind of weird because my dad is a preacher, and growing up a preacher's kid, it was difficult in the sense of trying to live up to a standard. But my daddy was also, Daddy, I love you. I know you're gonna hear this. He was also gangster. So he taught us the ways of God, but he showed us how to survive. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Definitely.
So our story was great. He was present every day. Him and my mama married 20 years, and then they got a divorce. And so they got a divorce when I was 14. And so that kind of put, it split our family for one. My older brothers, they went with my dad. I stayed with my mom and my little sister. I didn't want to leave my mom and sister alone. I'm the youngest boy, right? I was 14, and my older brother, 15 and then 16. Close to 17. And so when that split happened, I remember I didn't talk to my dad for like a month. And that was the first time in my life of not seeing my daddy, not talking to him. It was just a hectic moment, right? I don't know if he remembered it, I remember it, And so what that did was that he moved out to 28th Street, close to East Lake, Park City. Mm-hmm. And so that allowed us to see a life that, I don't even know if necessarily we were supposed to see. Yeah. It was a different world out there. It wasn't the worst. Let me say that. It wasn't the worst. We was like in a shelter, I feel like, of, everything else was going on. We saw poverty, yes. We saw, drug use, yes. But the violence and things like that, it wasn't like that there. We had friends out there. We shot ball every day. They showed us how to survive, where to go, don't go here, don't.
Right.
So our dynamics changed. And so because I lived with my mom, that actually created a wedge with me and my dad because he felt like I chose her. Wow. And I get it. Like now that I'm older, I get that. I was a daddy's boy. Like that was my dude. Like we was, I was the kid. I remember my dad was leaving the house one day. I had to been like 7 or 8. He leaving and I wanted to go. Daddy, let me go. No, you can't go. I snuck in the back seat of the car and I laid down. So when he pulled off,
you were there.
I hopped up and he like, boy, I'm gonna go get you some. He said, I'm gonna go get you an icy, but you gotta go back home.
That's wild.
You know what I mean? So I was a daddy's boy. And so it really created where I didn't, that time showed me, well, it didn't allow me to see my identity. Because for so long, I looked to my dad, I followed him. He was a preacher, we in church. He had a singing. I mean, he was always there, always there. And so now that I don't see you and now that there is a friction, I'm not even able to learn who I am as a young man or who I was growing into be, right? Because I get what I am from him. And it took years of me and him bumping heads to where I think I was like 28 or 30 where we had a sit down. Like we literally, I was like, look, we need to talk because like at some point something got to give. Like I love you. Like we need to really talk. We had a powwow. And what that did was at 30 years old, I was either 27 or 30, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
At that age, we had our first vulnerable conversation.
Wow.
Man.
At 30.
First vulnerable conversation.
In between 26 and 30.
Right?
Wow.
And he said something to me. He said, you know what? And I saw when it broke for both of us. He said, man, I remember feeling what you feel for my dad because he worked so much. And that conversation broke a generational curse. You know what I mean? So that was our dynamics.
That's why I started asking that question, man, because you realize, one, as dads are listening, I begin to wonder, what are my kids going to say what their daddy story is?
Yep.
And I think that other part is just watching him talk about that.
Yeah.
I wish like everybody could see the facial expressions.
Right. You feel it.
Right. You
feel
do. Because like you said, there is so much identity comes from that. Right. And just the security you probably have now that you didn't have 20 years ago.
No, now we're best friends.
Yep.
Like now, like that's my dude. Like we could talk about anything. Like that's my guy. Like, but if we would have never had that real vulnerable conversation, I'll still be lost in the man who I want to be.
I love that nugget.
And to know why I do what I do.
Ooh, that was a nugget.
Why I act like this sometimes. And we talk about it, he be like, boy, I be doing the same thing. I be, you know what I mean? and I know where it come from now.
Right.
So, yeah, man.
It gives a brother so much confidence to go do what they do because, especially when you're like, when my dad used to do that too.
Right.
You got it honestly.
And see, as men, we always say that to each other. We feel like, oh, because you a man, you won't understand what I went through. That's what we do to each other. Because we don't understand, because we scared to have a conversation with each other, not realizing I went through the same thing you went through. I put my shoes on the same way you put your shoes on.
Yeah.
It's 24 hours in your day just like it is in my day.
Yeah.
But also what it did, it opened up a space for me to listen to him when he say, I did that before, don't do this.
Right.
Yep.
Because I wouldn't take no guidance from him for a long time because we always bumped heads. So now when we converse, he be like, hey, man, no, you think about it like this, Deon. You know what, Daddy, you right. I'm going to take it now.
Right.
I wouldn't in the past.
Right.
So how much wisdom and knowledge come from a vulnerable conversation to open up the door to say, I can listen to you. I get exactly what you're saying now. Man, that's powerful.
Very.
We get dads to be open and transparent. It's a game changer.
Yeah.
It is.
It's that we can teach. What you're saying is, because he was open with you, because he was honest with you, because he was vulnerable with you, now he can teach you anything he needs to teach.
And I'm going to listen. I'm going to soak it up like a sponge because I know that he's willing to also listen to me.
Man, I'm squeezing my fingers over here, man, because I love that, man. Yeah. And as a father, I understand that.
Yeah.
I truly do. Because with my oldest son, like I said, I get a little resentment. But now, again, what Reggie always teaching me is trust the process. Again, that's what you telling me right now is, Frankie, it's going to be okay. Just trust that process. So thank you, man. But let me get to this other question, man. I'm going to go back just a little bit. As a teenager, you were definitely headed in the wrong direction. Tell us about that time in your life.
So I remember in 8th grade, so me and my brothers, who was always, I guess, considered, I mean, everywhere we went, like, them grind boys. You know, Frank.
Yeah.
They're them grind boys. Just, you know, that was just the kind of, you know, the outlook that people had on it. Even family members, you know. They called us the Three Birds. They got 3 birds. You know what I mean? So it's always like a negative, excuse me, a negative connotation with us. You know what I mean? And so 8th grade, I remember they called like 15 kids to the office, and I was one of them. And so we sitting in a room, and I remember people, when we walked in, some people already in there, and they was like, y'all finna be in this prison prevention program. And I remember sitting there like, dang, they think I'm a criminal? Like, that's what you think of me? I'm that bad to where you think I'm a criminal? I'm going to end up being, man, that's jacked up. So for the next, you know, to 12th grade, it really gave me a mentor. Because Mr. Watkins took me up on his wing. And now at 17, I had, for the first time, outside of, you know, family members, my grandmother, really, my grandmother, my dad, you know, people telling me, you know, positive words of affirmation. I had a man telling me I was a leader. I was suspended for 30 days for about to get to fighting with Principal Mr. Smith, right? And I'm in evening school. And Mr. Watkins called me, Gretrell Watkins. He called, he said, hey, man, what you doing? I said, man, I'm getting ready to go to school, go to class. He said, all right. He said, look, we're about to go to Brushy Mountain, but I'm going to put it off. And I was like, why? Because I'm already, you know, the negative tone, right? I was like, why? He's like, man, cuz these youngsters that's going with y'all, they look up to you, and they need to hear you talking positive now, right? First time a person told me that my words can help change another person's trajectory. That's really what he was saying. And so during that same time frame, Miss Lane, 12th grade teacher, she was our English teacher. She called me as well while I was suspended for 30 days. She said, That's a long time.
Yeah.
But when you're about to fight the principal, you square up and Pedro running in. You know, it was a whole scene. You know, you got to get rid of that boy. You know what I mean? One of those. But Miss Lane called me and she was like, hey, we about to start this writing session about, it was something. And I was like, okay. She was like, but I'm not going to start it till you get back in school because you have become my favorite student. Now, in 12th grade, for the first time, a teacher poured into me something positive. Now I'm your favorite student. She said, I love the way you write. And she said, I want everyone to read what you write about this subject. Right? So me understanding, I went from, oh, you think I'm a criminal? Y'all got me in this program because y'all think I ain't going to be nothing. To, oh, I can actually impact the people who's with me in this program because you think I'm a leader and you see something different in me from what everybody else see. It changed my trajectory of my life for real. See, what they didn't know was I actually got saved at 17. So I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to really chase the girls no more. Like I didn't really want to do nothing no more. And so they don't know that actually Christ came into my heart. Did I backslide? Yeah. But I was young. But that's what changed in me. When I didn't want to fight no more, or it might look like I might have been getting punked. I'm like, man, I'm good. Like, I'm whatever you think. Right. I'm cool. Because something changed in me. The last time I willingly fought, I was in like 10th grade. The last time I willingly, like, I'm finna go. I want to. After that, it was like, and that time I broke my hand. And so I realized what I sat outside because it was during a football game. You know how it was. I sat outside and I was like, me hitting somebody else actually hurt me. I remember having that thought. So that was the last time I wanted to fight.
You went from being a guy who obviously decided was going to solve things through fighting. I mean, you were trying to fight the principal. To, I mean, it's like a whole
shift.
Yeah. And like define that mindset that you have now when you compare that to back then.
Well, so back then like I said, no one got to the why. No one asked, like, what is the why? Why are they like that? Why?
Is the question of people's what's wrong with you, as opposed to what happened to you.
Yeah, they never got to the why. And so when I was 17, my why was I never accepted Christ into my life. See, even though my parents, we was in church, I truly didn't even believe in God. It was all a show to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. But when I accepted him, I was singing songs and I started realizing what the songs were singing, and then that came to like an enlightenment of, okay, God, if this is you and everything against you is bad, right? Everything that I was doing was just bad. I want to know the good. I want to know that. And then once I accepted it, my whole outlook, my perspective, anger, it was slick, almost gone, like instantly. Like, okay, it's something good out here, and now I know it's God.
Right.
And now I want to dive into that, because I could have done anything I wanted to on the other side. I could have been a pimp. I could have sold dope. I could have ran the streets, bust guns. I could have did whatever I wanted to do, literally, because I really I don't have fear. Fear is not in me. My wife be like, why? Because I'm not fearful of nothing. If I die, I'm going to heaven.
There you go. There you go.
So what am I scared of? And back then it was like, if you kill me, I'm just gone. So I mean, you don't have a fear. But that's what changed.
So all right, so let's fast forward. Right. Wife, kids, have made their grand entrance. How have you been intentional to have your home life be different?
So at first it wasn't. With my older kids, I was young. Me and my wife got together I was 24. She was 25. And
some young pups when they got me.
I mean, I was still edgy. And so my wife and kids took the brunt of that. I didn't have a soft father. I don't know how to be soft. I don't know how to talk to my wife correctly. I don't know how to discipline my kids with a real relationship.
So that means like everything was just kind of rough, It
was rough.
Yeah.
Kids on edge, wife on edge, but I was cool because I was still nice in certain, but just don't push daddy, right? Don't say the wrong thing, then we could turn a good day to a bad day in an instant. And so what I had to do when me and my dad talked and I understood the power of vulnerability, I went to my kids and my older kids and apologized. I apologized for the way I was when they were younger. Because I didn't treat them like that because they were my stepkids. I just didn't know how to treat people. I didn't know how to love people because I was so guarded. If my dad or, the relationship with my mom ain't all the way good, right? And we had, if the people who I felt loved me the most, what I'm saying, just from a child's point of view, I understand now, I'm older, right? But from a child's point of view, if they can't give me what I feel like I need, then who are you to come in my life and love me unconditionally? So I was guarded, even with my kids. It don't sound right, but it's
right. But it's look. I hope everybody just caught that nugget that you're saying, as that you and your dad kind of got some stuff figured out. It changed, like, even how you interact with your wife and your kids. It changed the way
I parented and the way I was being a husband. It did. Now me and my kids, like my older sons, we had a conversation. I apologized to them.
Right.
Hey, man, I'm sorry for this. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry how hard I was. I apologize. I didn't understand that I was actually hurting your emotions. I didn't understand, like, really having a vulnerable conversation. And they needed that, right? Because now they're my dudes, right? Now they have a father to look at, like, I done actually seen daddy change.
Right.
And willingly to say, bro, I messed up. Like, I was a whole mess. I'm sorry. Like, so what that's going to do for their kids? Hopefully their kids don't even have to deal with having to go through an apology. They can start off on the right foot.
Wow. Man. Whew.
I'm quiet, man, because I know him. I mean, when I say I know him, you know what I mean? I didn't heard these stories to hear, I heard them, but to see you now, I'm quiet. That's why I'm quiet. I'm sucking it in because I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, man. Praise God.
Man, so look at that. I forgot my little train of thought because I'm so excited for you, man. And just my next question to you is this, man. Tell us about your work and your friends in ministry. Give us a little background on that. I know we don't have a lot of time, so trying to.
So when I was with Friends House, and I'm not with them no more, but when I was with them, we worked with guys in reentry, mentoring guys at Silverdale, teaching recovery classes. We had sober living homes. So every day was to help guys figure out who they were now off of drugs, and who they're trying to become.
Yeah. I'm going to let you finish that because I want you to transition that to what you're doing now. Because I think what you're doing now is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So me and a guy named BJ and our wives, we started an organization called CLEAR. It stands for Community Leadership Engaging in Adolescent Reentry. So when I was dealing with the guys, the grown men, I realized something. It was like a light bulb went off. I need to catch y'all when I was caught. It is because of prevention that I never went to prison. It's because of prevention that I never wanted to sell dope. So let's do prevention, right? And so when we started down this trail, it was an unknown trail. What are we gonna do, Lord? First and foremost, God gave the idea, so you gotta consult God about, the direction He want to take us. So, What do you want to do, Lord? You want us to start a diversion boarding school? Okay. Why? So we can have the kids 24/7 and teach them about mental health, substance use, while we give them the core classes of school and have mental health professionals on staff and counselors and substance use counselors on staff so we can start working through the trauma, so we can get to the root of their problem early. Okay, Lord, let's do that. And then we're going to surround them with mentors who know their story because they live their story. Guys who have prison time, who were addicts, right? In gangs, not affiliated no more, not active no more, right? We're going to give them that because they're going to be able to see someone who looked just like them telling them, nah, I did that. And so on top of us dealing with the family, with the kids, while the kids while we are rehabilitating the kids, we're going to actually be working on the families too. Because when they transition into the home, they need to transition into a home that is conducive to what we've been teaching for the last year and a half or 2 years or 3, whatever the case may be, right? Or however long we have them. So we're going to be dealing with the families as well. What resources do the family need? If the mom need education or she need a high set, she need this, let's get you that. You need counseling, let's get you that. Because when this child come back into this environment, it needs to be exactly what we've been doing over here for that child's life. So that's what we're doing.
I can only imagine what all you learned, working at Friends House, which is basically it's a substance abuse kind of sober living facility. To go from that to, like you say, the prevention piece of it, where it's like you can see where they're going and know exactly what to put in place
so they won't go there.
Exactly.
Set up them roadblocks.
Yeah, that's it. Detours.
Yes, sir.
Take this detour.
Right.
And we're going to walk with you hand in hand as you go.
How do you see this affecting generations?
So I think that we will see the numbers at Silverdale, they'll drop.
Silverdale's the correctional facility.
Yeah. Silverdale Detention Center, they'll drop. The numbers will drop for sure. Give us 5, 6, 7 years when these kids are becoming adults and then they're not going there. We'll see the numbers then. Then we know that, okay, he just became a great father, a great man. Matter of fact, he came through our program and now he's going to college. Like, we're changing how we are viewing life, the mindset of life. Because right now, our youngsters, they don't have the vision. They don't have the knowledge. Without the knowledge, what? People perish. And that's why we're perishing.
How does somebody that wants to support what you're doing, how do they get a hold of you?
Call me. 423-355-6544. Email me, DeonteGrimes43@gmail.com. Facebook me, Deonte Grimes. whatever it takes, because what I do know is it's going to take a village to do what we're doing. It's going to take fellowship, partnership. The root word of fellowship is partnership. Look it up. Partnership. So fellowship is not just us clapping our hands, we coming together, we eating.
Right.
No, we are partnering together to bring impact to our community.
Man, oh man. Today, I get a chance to say something to you that I've been wanting to say for you for a while. The last time we had a conversation and the first time I see you in this light was before I got this job. You saw me the day my son, Marquis, graduated from about to graduate high school, and I popped out on the ridge and I said, hey, man, I see you on Facebook. He said, yeah. I said, I don't want to be your friend on Facebook. He said, huh? I said, because I can talk to you in real life. He said, that makes sense, Frankie. He said, well, let me tell you something. He said, man, I always looked up to you. And I was like, oh, man. He said, I remember you put me in the headlock one day and said, stop being a knucklehead and be you. It's okay to be you. So today I get a chance to say thank you.
Man.
Thank you for blessing me that day, for walking me into this door, because you gave me hope.
That's
You
what's up,
showed
bro.
me that, Frankie, a lot of people looked up to you, and I'm proud of you. And so today I get a chance to say thank you.
Man, it's my pleasure.
Today we get a chance to say thank you.
Thank you.
And shout out to BJ too, man. BJ good dude. BJ doing some good things, but today is about Deonte Grimes, and so thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're about to do. And on behalf of Staff Make a Difference, man, we salute you.
Thank you, man.
We salute you.
Man, it's, you're right. You said it. Without vision, people perish. And to hear a man of vision,
Right,
that's not scared to walk out in that vision,
right.
because he knows where the power really comes from to live that thing out. We talk about, this whole show is about dads making a difference, about
Definitely.
changing the narrative and bringing dads on the show that not only have changed their course and are affecting their own homes, but also affecting the homes of generations to come, man.
Amen.
I applaud you. I salute you, man. Thanks for coming and joining the show today. I just wish you the best in all your endeavors, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, man. Thank y'all.
Yeah,
Thank y'all for what y'all doing.
Oh man, it's just a small thing to a giant, man. You know what I mean?
Because dads do make a difference.
Right.
So
Dads
keep
make
making
a
a difference, man. We appreciate y'all joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Dads Making a Difference, powered by First Things First. Join us for our next episode right here.